Even with a slowdown in the rate of Americans getting vaccinated against COVID-19, many people are wondering when or if booster shots might be necessary.
A paper published yesterday in the journal Nature is giving a hint that the need might be farther off than many initially thought. Dr. Frank McGeorge is here to explain more for us. Doc?
Yeah, Kim and Jason. So our immune system is made of a complex arsenal of different weapons against all manner of invaders that are meant to do us harm, from bacteria all the way to viruses. Now, some of the tools you've probably become familiar with, like antibodies. Those are relatively easy to measure, and they can actually be a good marker of how well protected we are against COVID. But antibodies are not our only protection. We also make different cells that defend us, and that may be the key to long-lasting protection.
When you receive a vaccine, your immune system is trained to respond using a number of different tactics. So far, the antibody response to the COVID-19 vaccines has been good, but it will likely decline over many months, providing less protection. A new study by the Washington University School of Medicine looked at another weapon our bodies can use against the virus once it's trained by a vaccine, called B cells. B cells are important to developing long-lasting antibody responses. The researchers found special areas called germinal centers in the lymph nodes of vaccinated people. These germinal centers continued to produce and refine B cells effective at fighting COVID-19 and circulating variants. This and other papers looking at the long-term cellular memory of our immune response to the COVID-19 vaccines suggest that our protection, at least against severe disease, may be very long-lasting.
Now, all of this simply translates into an evolving understanding that our immune response to the vaccines is much more than the antibody proteins against COVID-19. There's also a much more robust and long-lasting immune cell response that's developed. Now, unfortunately, it's much harder to measure than antibodies, and that means the real answer to the need for boosters is going to be difficult to predict. Of course, pharmaceutical companies are suggesting there will be a need for boosters in the near future, but of course it is in their interest to encourage boosters. The CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices is actually adopting a much more sensible approach. At this point, they would only clearly recommend a booster if there was evidence of a decline in vaccine protection against illness, or if a new variant develops that the current vaccines are simply ineffective against.
Yeah. So, Frank, I know there's still a lot we don't know, but when we talk about booster shots, are we talking about giving out hundreds of millions of doses to everybody that would take one like we did with this initial vaccination effort?
Well, you know, Kim, that's really another thing that we don't know yet. Honestly, at least at first, the biggest concern for boosters are going to be the same priority groups that were initially vaccinated. So that's people at high risk for severe disease like the elderly or immune compromised, and people with the highest exposure risks like frontline workers. But of course, that will only be if boosters even turn out to be necessary, and that remains to be seen.
And we know you will keep following it for us and let us know if they do. Dr. McGeorge, we appreciate it.